Hello, London. I'm Matt Brown, and you're listening to the Matt Brown Podcast. It's the show about all things local and maybe some other stuff too. In municipal politics, there's no such thing as a small issue. And by its very nature, whatever the issue is, it's guaranteed to be local. And today, we're going to be speaking with a representative from a brand new Old North neighborhood advocacy group. He's got a lot to say about cut-through traffic in his neighborhood and neighborhoods right across the city. He knows his stuff, too. I'm going to tell you all about it right after this.
Winter's here. It's time to discover the Bicycle Cafe. Cozy up with our daily soup and sandwich, or unwind with an evening latte and Dutch comfort food. London Bicycle Cafe at the Forks of the Thames. See you soon.
We're now joined by Dr. Colin Evans. Colin is an MD who specializes in emergency medicine. He's also an assistant professor with the Schulich School of Medicine. And he's a founding member of a group that goes by the acronym A.C.T.I.O.N, ACTION, a neighborhood advocacy group that has formed to address what they consider to be significant traffic concerns in Old North and right across the city. We're going to learn all about it right now. Colin, welcome to Newsmakers.
Thanks, Matt. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm excited to learn a bit more about your advocacy group. It's called ACTION. What does that stand for?
Advocates for Calmer Traffic in Old North.
Okay, and so if a neighborhood's motivated to get together and to start a group like this, it tells me that you're feeling like there's some traffic issues in your neighborhood, and I've also heard you say across the city as well.
Yeah, this really is a citywide phenomenon, but there's a number of people in our neighborhood who've had these observations over the years, and it wasn't until we had a community-wide panel discussion that was held back in this spring by Councillor Trossow that we all really realized that each other's concerns were as shared as they are, and we developed the motivation to try and do something about it.
Yeah, and I understand that in a past life, before you were an emerge doc, you also were a paramedic. So you've seen this from a lot of different angles yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I served as a paramedic from 2006 to 2018. And during that time, I mean, we would see the byproducts of road violence on a near daily basis. And often during that time, it was always the vulnerable road user that paid the price if there was one involved.
Yeah, sadly, that's the case. In the neighborhood, what kind of issues are people seeing?
So we did a survey of neighborhood respondents, which really covered the entire geography of our Old North neighborhood, 230 some odd respondents, and 95% of them highlighted that speed on their street is a real problem.
Okay.
94% felt as though that speed was impairing children's mobility in the neighborhood and their safety. 90% felt like enforcement wasn't sufficient, and 90% also felt as though they would support infrastructure-based changes to try and bolster where that enforcement is falling short.
Okay, and just for the geography of the neighborhood, I'm thinking probably Oxford to the south, Adelaide to the east, somewhere around Huron to the north, and then the river to the south. Does that sort of encompass Old North, or is it, you're looking at it a little bit bigger?
Very
okay.
close.
Mm-hmm.
I would bump it to the river on the north side.
Okay.
If only because Councillor Trossow would be very upset if we excluded it.
Oh, you want to include the whole board? Okay.
Yeah.
No, fair enough, and well played.
Yeah.
Now, I've also heard you say that you want to take some comprehensive action here, and that you want to see the city, I assume, do things a little bit differently, because when you're doing the same thing over and over again and it's not working, it's really time to switch gears. What are you looking for?
Yeah, so I was really excited during our talk about this issue, which was very well attended by the community back in the spring. Doug McRae, who's the traffic engineer for the city, highlighted that they are considering taking a neighborhood-wide approach. And that, I think, stimulated us to reflect on the opportunity that we had. If we can take an emphasis towards creating more livable spaces through engineering the way that vehicle operators behave and pedestrians behave, we can reduce the conflict that arises. So for instance, the city has set 40 kilometers an hour as the speed limit in our neighborhood. And I would argue that's still too high if you look at the data. But the roads induce drivers to travel faster because they're so wide.
Right.
And there's no interruption. And so just like when I was a paramedic working downtown on Waterloo Street and I wanted to get out of the city, I would take Waterloo Street the entire stretch north because it's so much faster than taking Richmond. And that's what we see is that cut-through traffic traveling at high speeds. And so if we can reduce cut-through traffic through engineering solutions like diverters and reduce the speed through engineered solutions like narrowing the lanes or creating intermittent one-way lanes where traffic has to alternate, we can actually induce the behavior we want to see rather than trying to enforce them all the time.
And you mentioned also the 40 kilometer per hour, and
Yeah.
the city council really has the ability to make that speed whatever level that it should be. I think just because you can drive 40 doesn't mean that you always should, but also from an injury perspective, the amount of injuries that occur each time you increase the speed by 10 kilometers is pretty significant. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so the Canadian Association of Road Safety Professionals have published an infographic that I think is really helpful for this. There is some World Health Organization data from about 20 years ago that showed that when a pedestrian and car collide at 30 kilometers an hour, 9 out of 10 pedestrians are going to survive. As soon as you increase that to 40, it's 6 out of 10. At
Wow.
50, it's 2 out of 10, and at 60, it's 0 out of 10. And so when you consider that in our neighborhood, the reports we're getting back is that the 85th percentile speed that they're finding is somewhere in the 48 to 52 range, depending on which street they're testing. Well, you're really committing quite a few of those pedestrians to a high morbidity or even fatal impact. And those data are from 20 years ago, before the increase in vehicle sizes and change in grille patterns. So whereas vehicles used to hit people in the thighs and break their femurs and they'd fall on the hood and then fall off the car, now these high grills with flat fronts are hitting people in the pelvis and the torso and the head. And those people are suffering a higher morbidity or mortality rate to the tune of about 43 to 45%, depending on the vehicle design. And so all of those data about pedestrians being struck at various speeds are going to be increased with the vehicle designs we commonly see now.
We've got less than a minute left.
Yeah.
I imagine people watching might want to get involved. How can they reach out?
So I think they should go to our website or to get it on the Get Involved website from the City of London and actually vote about what they are finding in their neighborhoods and what they want to see changed.
Fantastic. Last word to you.
Yeah, so I would say that this message is about creating a more livable space. We want children and adults to be able to get out and enjoy their neighborhoods and increase the livability of the entire neighborhood. Right now, we prioritize vehicles on the roads, and drivers see that as their space, which means that when a child is on the road, that is an encumbrance to them, and they'll often see that as a safety threat to the child without realizing that they are a guest in the neighborhood space. And so if we can shift that mindset for vehicle operators and pedestrians to now feel safer, we're going to make a safer, more livable neighborhood for everybody.
Well, let's leave it right there. Good luck with this work, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Matt.
And we'll be back to close out the show right after this.
Winter is here. Time to discover Bicycle Cafe. Cozy up with our daily soup and sandwich, or unwind with an evening latte and Dutch comfort food. London Bicycle Cafe at the Forks of the Thames. See you soon.
Okay, London, that's the show. I hope you know a little bit more about our city than you did a half an hour ago. Thanks to Colin for joining us today. If you live in Old North or really any neighborhood across the city, this new neighborhood advocacy group wants to hear from you. You can reach them via their website, which is oldnorthcommunity.ca. And like I said off the top, by their very nature, all municipal politics are local, and there's no such thing as a small issue. If a neighborhood cares enough to organize and to advocate, you can bet their city councillor is going to take note or face the consequences at the ballot box come election time. In fact, very often, that's the reason why a Londoner runs for city council. There's an issue in their neighborhood. They feel City Hall either didn't listen or didn't do enough to help, which gets them so riled up they decide to throw their hat in the ring. The neat thing about these types of candidates is that they're already organized. They already have their campaign team by way of their neighborhood group's membership base. Is that you? If it is, reach out and let me know. Maybe we can get you on a future episode of Newsmakers. That's the show I host over at Rogers TV. We could get you on this podcast, or maybe we could get you on both. And everyone, please keep sending in your ideas for future shows. This show is for you. I like to say I couldn't do it without you. You can reach me at the mattbrownpodcast@gmail.com. So with that, You've been listening to the Matt Brown Podcast. Thanks for that. Bye for now, and talk to you again soon. London.